Startup Week. We're going to begin the talk now. So if we could. Yep. So I would like to welcome our speaker today. She's a graduate from the City University of New York, as well as Northwestern Kellogg School of Management and Dartmouth Tuck School of Business. She has worked for the past 30 years across industry and entrepreneurship, with an 11-year career at ExxonMobil, where she became the account executive. And she is now the president and CEO of Technology Concepts Group International, which is an IT asset management and supply chain solutions provider. Please give a warm welcome to Avis Yates Rivers.
Woo! Don't let me do all the yelling. Come on. Woo! How y'all doing? Is this the last class of the day? Yeah, so I'm going to take my time. No, just kidding. We're going to get y'all out of here. How you doing? Oh, no. Y'all know better than that. How you doing? Yeah, really? Don't sound too good to me. I'm delighted to be here. As you've heard, my name is Avis Yates Rivers, and I really want to thank both Mike Wayand and Jason Gines for inviting me to speak to your class today, and Dr. Allison as well. You know, it's not the easiest place to get to in the world, State College, PA, but I made it. I made it. Midnight, but I made it, and I'm so thankful for you all to have invited me. How's Startup Week going? Anybody involved in any activities? No. Okay. Well, hopefully you'll get to partake of something going on campus. It's an exciting week. How many of you see entrepreneurship in your future? Oh boy, there's going to be a tough crowd. How about technology career? Okay, a little more. How about the rest of you? Anything? All right, well, I want to talk to you a little bit today about those things, both an education and career in technology and all that that affords you, and then two, to consider entrepreneurship. I know you don't believe it, because I only look 35, but I've been an entrepreneur for 34 years. Wow, come on. Wow. It is a wow. I can't believe it myself. I cannot believe 1985 is when I started my first company. 2008, I started my fifth company, and all in technology. Wasn't a pathway that I set out to do. It just taken advantage of the opportunities that the market allowed me to engage in. So we're going to talk a little bit, though, about what's wrong with technology industry today, okay? Just a little bit about me. Ryan gave you a little cliff notes, but just like you, I fill many roles. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a grandmother, I'm a great aunt, I'm an avid golfer, I'm a Hollywood hobnobber. Yep, that's Lupita, the year that she won Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, 12 Years a Slave. Don't tell my grandsons, who are now taller than me, that I'm still using this Spidey and Bumblebee picture. They would not be happy. They would be horrified. But like you, and you see the red chairs up there, I'm also the national spokesperson for NC WIT's Sit With Me program. Sit With Me, as you may have seen the red chair floating around. Well, I don't see it right here on stage, but it's an outreach program for universities, for corporations, for startup tech companies to do more and to be more intentional about attracting women and people of color into their tech workforce. How many, oh, still a little bit more about me. I don't know who put this slide in. I'm an author, I'm a global speaker, and a thought leader when it comes to diversity and inclusion. I wrote my first book. It was published in 2017. Yes, that's me. Yes, that's my black girl magic hair. It's a different day, right? But lots of books sold, lots of speaking at tech conferences, corporations, universities, schools, all around the globe. And so that just gives you a little bit of background about me and where I am today. Where I started was from very humble beginnings, though. And the illustration is, it doesn't matter where you start. What matters is that you finish strong, that you find something that you absolutely love for your career, because then you will never feel like you've worked a day in your life. I can't tell you that 34 years have passed by in my life. It doesn't feel like that. I remember what happened 30 years ago, specifically. Now, I ask my children if I remember their names, not so much, especially their ages. I had to threaten my oldest child in March when she was hashtagging her age all over Facebook. I said, I'll disown you. Pick a number and stick with it. Mine's 39, so yours can't be older than that. So pick a lower number and stick with it. And stop this hashtagging because you're having a birthday. It's just an anniversary of your 39th birthday, so stop it. So where you begin is important, the education. And whatever career path you're on now that you think you're on based on your educational pursuits may not necessarily be where you'll be in 5, 10, 30 years, right? So this is a little bit who I am. My why for getting on planes in the middle of the night and having to hold on while we flew into State College, PA at midnight in the snow, because I have a why in life. I figured out why I'm here. I figured out what my passion is and therefore my purpose. And so I'm very fortunate because a lot of people have not figured it out yet. I say to folks that the day that you're born is the most important day of your life, and the second most important is when you figure out why. Why are you here at this time in this place, as opposed to some other time, some other place? My why is to promote equity, justice, and fairness when it comes to technology. This is a booming industry, as you know. Lots of wealth being generated. But often, too often, the majority of that wealth is being generated by a homogeneous group of individuals. And guess what? They don't look like me. That's a problem. That's a problem. I know that technology can level the playing field. Doesn't matter where you come from, how much money you have. I'm one of 6 siblings from 2 working-class parents and from the city of New York. Small spaces, lots of people. There was no money to go to a Penn State, or a private state-owned or private college. I had to go to City University. It was either that or it was in college at all, because that's what we could afford to do. And so humble, very humble beginnings. But having been in this technology industry and having been an employer for 34 years, I know that I have made an impact in people's lives. And that's what spurs me on every single day. I want to create jobs, and I've created thousands of jobs over the years. I want to reduce unemployment and bring back hope, because it's hopelessness that gets communities of color in an uproar when they feel that they are not being valued or heard. And so hopelessness is something that you can't just fix with a pill. It really takes a lot of work. And if people have a good paying, living wage job, can take care of their families, they'll have hope. And we can eradicate a lot of the other social ills of our society. Diversity of thought leads to better problem solving and creativity. So the illustration shows the difference between equity, equality, and reality. Equality, which is what a lot of people think we're supposed to be doing. Equality, equality, equal rights. Equality says that we all get the same foundation, the same platform. No matter what our needs are, we get the same thing. And unfortunately, equality does not fit the bill, because not everybody is starting at the same place. Equity, on the other hand, says you get what you need to level the playing field. Everybody can just see over the fence there because that little guy got what he needed. Yes, it's a little bit more than the big guy. He didn't need anything. He didn't need any help to see over the fence. But the little guy did. But unfortunately, reality still says, and I don't know if you can see that with the light, that the one who has the most advantage continues to get the most. And so he's up out of the stratosphere. He's soaring. He's generating wealth. And the little guy, he can still use that same box to see over, but the little guy who comes from different place, different set of circumstances, he's down in the hole, not even on solid ground anymore. And that's reality. And that's what I get up every morning to do, is to bring about the conversation that not all things are equal. Technology, yes, is the equalizer, which is why I try to encourage more girls and more people of color to go after technology. So, we have an innovation problem in the pipeline. First of all, we don't have enough different voices in the pipeline. And that pipeline, it's not just leaky, it's broken. It's just broken. These corporations that I interact with or I work with as customers and suppliers, these big companies, they were built by white men for white men because that's who was in the workforce back 50, 60, 75 years ago. Makes perfect sense. What has happened over the decades is that they have become very male-dominated, very gendered, very cultured, and slanted toward maleness. And women, females, and any other don't feel comfortable in them. It's very subtle. It's not something that you can point at and say, he doesn't like me because of. It's very subtle. And so, as a result, we have a problem in the U.S. workforce. Women, we hold up more than half the sky. We're 57% of the population in this country, right? But we only hold about 26% of all U.S. computing jobs. That's a quarter of all jobs. And we only make up about 19% of all software developers. And as Google says, everything is made with code. Code underlines everything, every industry, every company. And so there's not enough female voices at the design table. And as a result, only 5% of tech leaders are women. Think CIO, CTO, CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, VP of R&D, only 5%, very, very small number. And when I overlay intersectionality on top of that, the numbers get even worse. So, Black and Hispanic professionals comprise 16% of the U.S. population, but only 16% of the professional occupations, but only 30% of the population. It's out of balance. 9% of all computing jobs are held by Black and Hispanic men. 4% combined are held by Black and Hispanic women. Those voices are absent. Our experiences are absent. Our approaches to problem solving are absent. So technology will never be as good as it can be. And it's pretty good now. Very small number of prestigious prizes in STEM are being awarded to women. Very small number, and you can see those numbers there. Why so few? This is something that NCWIT and lots of other organizations have been tackling. I've been a board member of the National Center for Women in Information Technology, so when I say NCWIT, that's what I'm talking about. Big research organization associated with the University of Colorado Boulder. This is all they do, is study why. What happened from the late 1980s when women's participation was in the high 30s, almost 40%. What happened to cause the declining participation of women in tech in this country? That not only affects employers trying to fill jobs, it also affects our economy, our ability to compete in the global economy. You know, if folks think that there are no tech jobs here for them, they're going to go somewhere else. And that's not good. So we do know that gender stereotyping starts very young. The problem is that there's a lot of social science that tells us what a technologist looks like. And again, it's not me. It's not you, some of you. This is not who is portrayed in the media when someone wants to portray a technologist. And that starts very young. Only 14% of teenage girls want to become a scientist. Probably even fewer want to become a computer scientist because of television images like Sheldon and now young Sheldon. Who wants to be that? Socially awkward. Yeah, no. There's a lot of unfilled STEM jobs out there. And so work has to be done in order to right this wrong. I encourage you to go on Project Implicit's website and take the test for yourself. Recent test takers have responded that there is a very strong and automatic association of men and science and women and liberal arts. This is male, female, young, old, various stations in life, and then just the opposite is true of automatic association of male with liberal arts and women with science. We're all biased. We're not bad, we're just biased. And there's a lot of reasons for that bias, which NC Witt's research has shown us to know. We know a lot. It's been 14 years of gathering this data. We know a lot more than we did in 2004. And it's a very complex pipeline to pipeline, end-to-end problem. I wish there was a magic wand. It's been 14 years, and they've only been focused on this mission. And there's still a lot more work to be done. Thankfully, Penn State is a member of the Academic Alliance of NC Witt, and so you get it, and you're trying to do what you can to improve the culture here. Part of it was the way universities didn't do effective outreach to bring the other students in. Part of it was the way technology was being taught and the pedagogy that was being used. And so the Academic Alliance members, and there are over 500 of them in the NC Witt Academic Alliance, they're doing things. They know things now, and they're collaborating and working together. There's a lot of stuff and a lot of talk about the gender gap in tech. A lot of companies say that they're doing things about it. And there's a lot of noise because, yes, there's been some improvement, but clearly not enough in 14 years. And at this rate, you know, I'll be long gone before I see some parity here. So we got to start younger, and we do. We also need more female STEM teachers here and everywhere as role models. One thing the research says is little girls need to see themselves in the positions to which they aspire. And so if you come into a school and all your tech teachers are male, you're probably going to want to change your course of direction there. Same thing with careers. I tell young women when they're going to interview, the few that are in tech and are very marketable, by the way, everybody's going to come after you. I know, because they're members of NC Witt, and I sit around the board table with them, Microsoft, Google, you know, everybody, Apple, AT&T, all around the board table. And they're all talking the same thing. I wish we can find more women and people of color in tech, right? So we need more role models, which is why I do what I do, in addition to the 4 other jobs I have, because it's important that little girls see me and know that, no, I did not come down from the cloud or Silicon Valley or big money pockets. No, no, the exact opposite. But I persisted. It got hard, but I persisted. It got tough. I got knocked down. I picked myself back up, and I've had a lot of help along the way. So I want little girls to know everywhere that despite where you come from, you are smart enough. I had a little girl that I had to coach in church, after church on Sunday. She wanted to pursue IT. She's a high school senior. She thought she wanted to go that route into college, but she said, but this class I'm taking is hard. I said, yes, it's hard, but you're smart enough to get through it. So I will be coaching her. One more job. I didn't have enough. One more. But this is what I think I'm here to do. It's my why. So why is diversity and inclusion necessary? Innovation. As I said before, if you get the same homogeneous group of people creating all of the technology, it all begins to look the same. Who knows how technology really could be if there were more diverse voices and approaches to problem solving and experiences at the table. I bring creativity to a such situation because I had to figure out how to maneuver, keeping going and getting what I wanted, despite the fact that there was no money. We didn't know we were poor back then. Nobody talked about us being poor. My parents were part of the great migration from the South. I'm a New Yorker, yes, but I was born in Augusta, Georgia. My parents moved north when I was 1. So no education, teenagers. They got married young back then. So they had to build their life, and what courage that must have taken. Innovation is lacking when there's a homogeneous group of folks at the table. I don't care what they look like or what gender they are. If they're all the same, no innovation there. And this is what those big tech companies, as you know, are all striving to be the most innovative. And by the way, I say big tech companies like it's just Silicon Valley. Every company you can imagine is a tech company now. I don't care whether they're providing you flights or phone service or cars and trucks. You ask them what kind of company they are, and they say, we're a technology company. Because as I said before, everything is built with code, and every company is undergirded by their ability to be innovative. So this is what we do know. Diversity benefits creativity. We know that groups with greater diversity solve harder, more complex problems faster than homogeneous groups. We know that. We've studied it. We also know that a group's collective intelligence is not predicated on the individual IQs of its members. But when you add more women to a group, the collective intelligence rises. Study, research. With women and other people from different backgrounds and preferences and ages and all of that are together, creativity flows. Because my way of solving a problem is going to be different from your way, which is going to be different from your way, which is going to be different from your way. Because we all have varied experiences. And when you bring that all together, it's a mighty, mighty creative process that looks like this. Right? So we need more entrepreneurs visioning these innovative ideas and creating inventions within technology. And you see that's a female hand there. Because this is the end game, folks. The end game is a more diverse and inclusive STEM culture for everybody, be it an academic environment, a corporate environment, a tech startup environment, a medical environment. It doesn't matter. When everybody's race and culture and skills and experiences and nationalities and age can fit together nicely, you've got a mighty, mighty powerful situation there. That's the end game. The problem is not enough women are breaking through to get that seat at the table. Not enough. And we have to be more intentional about recognizing why in our individual cultures that is so. Unconscious bias is so rampant, so alive. And when I say unconscious bias, I mean implicit bias where nobody's trying to physically hold you out. It's not that obvious. In fact, the name of my book started out as not all bias is unconscious, but I wanted it to be sold and read, so I stepped back from that. But unconscious bias is when you are assumed to be somebody because of how you look. Before I started my first firm after I left Exxon, I was down in Wall Street area, had a vertical territory. You know, that was when we had a World Trade Center. That was my territory. American Stock Exchange, big buildings. And I was told, if you want to be successful in sales, I was selling early technology, you need to knock on every door. That was before the days of terrorism when you can go into a building in New York City and not have to be escorted and produce your license and get a visitor's pass. You just walk in. Rainy day, great. I'm going to be at 120 Broadway today. I'm not coming out. There's hundreds of companies in here. I knocked on every door, not knowing what was behind door number 1, 2, or 3. Not knowing how I was going to be perceived and welcomed or not. I was certainly an oddity. New York City, Wall Street, not me. Doesn't look like me. Selling technology, not looking like me. From Exxon Corporation, the largest oil and gas company in the world. I mean, it was just such a dichotomy of things that just were so unlikely that I think I sold a lot of equipment just because of the curiosity that stimulated. But people, before I said a word, when I walked in the door, they had already formed an opinion, and that happens to you every day. Before you open your mouth, whoever you're going in to see has formed an opinion about you because of the way you look, if they have done any research about you, because of your background maybe, where you went to school, where you live. All of that is unconscious bias. It's caused by schemas that our brains create, or shortcuts, to process all this information that we may receive about you or about society in general, and forces our brains to create shortcuts because we can't possibly absorb all the data that we're being bombarded with today or any day. Our brain has that, just an automatic response. It creates shortcuts based on my set of experiences and where I'm from and my culture, and you know, so I may think something about you based on an experience I had in high school or college. That doesn't make it right. It just makes it so, right? That's unconscious bias. We're creating the scenario. So here I am walking in the door, Black, African-American, young. I was young then. I was Mary Tyler Moore, flipping my hat up in the sky. I can make it here. Y'all not giving me no love today. Come on, that was funny. So here I am walking in the door. That's when they had receptionists back then in there. Not knowing what they were going to perceive me. So what did I do? I took on the mantle like, I belong here. So I'm walking in this door. Hello, can I see so-and-so? And I have to tell women that all the time. A lot of people ask me, what should women be doing? Well, first of all, women aren't broken. We don't need remedial help. The system is broken. But I do say to women, act like you belong. take your seat at the table. Speak up. Speak up. Let your voice be heard. Research says girls, especially in school, when the teacher asks a question, they know the answer. They're just going to sit back there and let the boys answer the questions because they're trying so hard, right? That's what you little girls do. You ask any group of little girls, what do you want to do when you grow up? They say, I want to help people. So that doesn't sound like a technology career or education to me. So what we have to do is bridge the gap from helping people, solving problems, to the fact that technology is the enabler for that. So we need more girls and women breaking through and assuming their rightful place. And as I said, it's the system that's broken. And you all can really help when you see or an experience or hear a bias being expanded upon, friend, classmate, whatever. What should you do? In order to change the culture here, each of us have to take responsibility. You are the solution. When Jane comes into class and someone says, your buddy says, oh boy, here she is. She's the only girl in this class, or she's only one or two girls in this class, and she probably is not keeping up, and she's holding us back. Then you have to say something. In a corporate setting, it's very, very obvious when we're sitting in a meeting, a planning meeting or whatever, and not me, because I'm not a good example. I'm unapologetic. But you say, give an idea, and it's kind of glossed over. And then you come up with that same idea, guy, and everybody is like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Somebody at the meeting has to say, great idea. Let's go back to Jane because it was her original idea or something, not to put you down, but to bring reality to the point that you recognize and you value the contribution of the young woman. That's something we can all do. There's a lot of other stuff that I can tell you to help you thwart and mitigate unconscious bias when you encounter it. Don't laugh with it. Don't expound and expand on it. Mitigate it. Stop it. Kill it. There's a lot of men, we've studied men too, what makes a great male ally? And for a lot of men, it was because they had a sense of fairness and they wanted to make sure that their sister, wife, mother, aunt, girlfriend was treated fairly in the workforce. And so that propelled them to make sure that they were doing the same thing. Other men, it was a professional reason. They've had a female boss. They saw how much extra she had to work just to prove herself. And that made an impact on them. So you are the solution. We all are the solution. So I'm going to leave you with this, and I really want to hear from you, so start formulating your questions. We get in trouble when we begin to believe that the only thing, that there are limits, right? I'm not talking about speed limits. Yeah, I call them guidelines and look around as I get to where I'm going, but don't let anybody limit you. There are no limits. They're guidelines. Change that vocabulary for yourself, right? Because the only thing that's limiting us in life is the belief that there are limits. I let that go a long time ago. Just like that big S off my chest. Let it go. You can't do everything. So choose what's most important to you. Use your talent, your time, and your resources for something bigger than you. What's your purpose? How many of you have figured out what your purpose is in life? You're a little young. I'm going to talk to you later. A little young. Might still be working on it. But you're not. The reality is you are not. Lots of innovation, invention, solving of societal ills, I judge a lot of hackathons, have come from groups of college students or from other young people. Need I say, Apple, Google, and all the other ones were started by college students, Facebook, etc. So no, you're not too young. You are definitely not too young. Don't be cornered and boxed into believing that there are limits to what you can do and where you can go in life. Because the reality is there are no limits but the sky. None. We can do whatever we want to. We can fix this problem of gender inequality in tech. We can make Penn State a more welcoming place for the others. We can do that if we work together and we are intentional about it. So with that, I thank you for having me. I've got some contact information up here if you want to stay in contact, if you want to stay engaged, if you want to learn more about this science of unconscious bias and inclusion. Necessary Inclusion is the name of the book, Embracing Changing Faces of Technology. Thank y'all for having me. I've enjoyed it. Have you? I forgot how young people can like take it or leave it. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Questions? Questions. Ryan has a mic. Dr. Allison has a mic. It usually takes a minute for the first one, so we'll wait. I left a lot of time for questions. You know, I could have gone on and on for another half an hour. Y'all trying to get home. I know. Questions here?
Hi, my name is Chris. I'm just wondering, what are some things I can do to be a stronger ally?
Chris, thank you very much for that question. There are 10 things that we have found that men can do to be a stronger ally. I'm going to give you a website, because I can probably remember half of them. I'm running on fumes. But number one is, I talked about it, thwart that bias when you hear it. Number two is create a safe space around you so that all people know that it's safe to talk around you, especially women. What else? Number three is recruit more of your friends to start having these conversations, men, and getting them to feel the same way that you do. Let's see what else I can remember. I'm going to give you a website, ncwit.org/resources, and then search for the Male Ally Study. I'll continue to think of some of the other ones, but there are some very specific things that we have learned from men, what they do that makes them a great ally. And by the way, I didn't have that slide in this deck. We're not going to be able to do this without you guys. We're not. You have the majority of everything. And so until you start taking on that mantle and that purpose, that you're going to be as inclusive as possible, that you're not going to succumb to unconscious bias, but you're going to give everybody an opportunity to prove themselves. Who knows who that next great inventor is? We don't know what they look like. We don't know if it's male or female. So we have to engage men in this. This is not a women's issue. This is a survival issue. For those of you who want to start companies like I did, who are you going to hire? There's 1 million open cybersecurity jobs right now. And there's almost 1 million open tech jobs in the US right now. And you're going to compete with all the cool companies and all the other big companies who are offering them big salaries, bennies, playtime, nap time, I'll do your laundry, here's some beer. I mean, I've walked around Facebook. Why do they got a bottle of booze on their table? 3 square meals a day, bring their dirty laundry in. Oh, I shouldn't tell y'all all that they do for people. They do their laundry. They never have to leave. Their life is right there. Entertainment, physical activity outside or inside, nap rooms. You start your company, how are you going to compete with that? So it's all of our problem, and we are all the solution to it. So I'd love for some geniuses to come out of this class to say, here's how we're going to increase our women and people of color and underrepresented minorities and others, whatever that other box is, into our classrooms, into our culture, and we're going to be welcoming. And it's not that you intentionally, hopefully, are unwelcoming. It's just that a culture has a personality. And too often it's gendered male. And y'all just do things because that's the way you do things. And to us, it's like, oh my gosh. Exhale. And after a while, we're just going to go. And we're not leaving the discipline. We're leaving a bad culture. Yeah. Research says 56% of the time, women will leave that tech job. 74%, if you ask them, love the work they do. Well, why are you leaving? I'm leaving a bad supervisory relationship or, environment. That's why they leave. So they'll go off, women like me. I loved it at Exxon. And Ryan was so cute. He said Exxon Mobil. There was no Exxon Mobil. It was just Exxon back then. Ooh, we're going back 34 years before anybody in this room was born. But I loved it there. I probably could have stayed there. I didn't have anything in my background that leaned toward a tech startup, let alone 5 of them. And right now I'm running 3 companies. There was nothing about me and my beginnings and my education that said that was going to happen to me. And I sometimes have this slide, entrepreneurs, how many believe entrepreneurs are born? How many believe they're made? Okay, more of you think that entrepreneurs are made. I ask the same questions about leaders. How many do you believe leaders are born that way, with the innate skills and capabilities? How many believe that leaders are made? Okay, still more. Still more made. And the answer is yes to both questions. The answer is yes. I do believe that entrepreneurs and leaders do have a set of innate skills and abilities. The propensity to take risk. I left a corporate, well-paying job to go out into a lower base sales salary with the same company, but still, different salary structure. And I had to earn my money, right? And so when I left corporate America, the choice was, do I go into another corporation? Exxon was they sold that division. I tried that new company for a month. My husband said, well, you just stay home, because every day I came home complaining. Because I had worked my way through the ranks. I was not going to go knock on every door anymore. Oh, no. I had earned the right to not do that, manage my schedule. Oh, my first appointment is Bank of New York, Bank of America at 10 o'clock. That's where I'm going to be, at 10 o'clock. But no, they had to see my face every day in the office at 8 o'clock. Why? That lasted a good month. And I'm like, ooh, not this girl. Wrong color girl. But yeah, those are the kinds of things that we all can do. How many of you want to be an entrepreneur? How come I don't see more hands up? Why don't I see more hands up? Let me ask you all the questions. Why do you not want to be an entrepreneur? Somebody. Yell it out. Come on. I won't look. Yeah? You can fail. What else? Okay. Unsure about the pathway to get it started. That's good. They're both good so far. What else? Yeah. All of that's exactly what I did. Exactly. That's what entrepreneurs do. You take the risk. So my getting put into sales at Exxon, I was in corporate jobs. And then I was out in the field making less money base and having to acquire a different set of skills to make more money. Risk of failure. I didn't fail. I actually was very successful, Rookie of the Year, and exceeded quota every year. I had finally found my niche. And so then when it was time and I was faced with the decision, okay, what's my next professional step? I had only worked for Exxon, 3 internships in college, recruited upon graduation, never wrote a resume, never interviewed for a job. I had only worked for Exxon. It was like family. So now what do? I know I'm very marketable because I'm a successful salesperson back then, but I really couldn't bring myself to go work for another company in technology. I felt like it was a betrayal. Silly, I told y'all I was young. I felt like it was a betrayal because I had only worked for Exxon. And so I actually felt the next best thing for me to do was to start my own company. No money. But I told myself the failure one, I told myself that, well, if this doesn't work, I can always get a job. I know I'm marketable. I have the track record to prove it. Every company needs successful salespeople. I can always get a job. I said that for maybe 25 years, and then I stopped saying that I don't want a job. So I always propelled myself forward with that in my mind. So you prepare yourself. That doesn't mean you won't fail, because I was asked a question a little earlier, have you ever had any failures? Oh yeah, big ones, really big ones, that were both within my control and without my control. I lost 30% of my business in one day when airplanes flew into the World Trade Center. I had nothing to do with that. But at the end of the day, I had 30% less of a business. And I needed the whole business to support my infrastructure and 75 employees. Another one I gave was, I acquired a spinoff from Bank of America in 2008 to start this company now that I'm running now. 2008, January. Think about it. Who can tell me what happened later in 2008 and 2009? The greatest what? Economic recession of all time. Nobody was buying anything from me. Failure. I didn't cause the recession. I promise y'all I didn't cause that. But I wasn't prepared to know that that was coming before raising all this money and going into debt and acquiring that spinoff from a big corporation who did know, because they had the resources to know what was coming. It was not announced. I promise y'all, it was not known yet to the general public. Another big problem. You go and then you get knocked down. And that's entrepreneurship. But the joy of it is you get to get back up. And you get to pivot. I'm not going that way anymore. Pivot is my new best friend, that word. I get to pivot. I get to find other problems to solve. Because the mark of a true entrepreneur is that you wake up every day looking to solve somebody's problem. Because you're not going to just go and walk into something, some situation and somebody and ask them to buy something and they're going to buy it. Not in the Fortune 100 global community that I sell in. You got to find out what keeps them up at night. What's their pain? If you had a magic wand, we just did a magic wand webinar. My folks thought I was crazy. I'm like, come on, stay with me. If someone had a magic wand and can change something about their environment, a particular environment, what would that be? That's who you are. You're the magic wand wielder. That's what entrepreneurs are. We don't focus on failure. We don't focus on lack of money. Nobody's ever given me a big pot of money, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting for somebody to come along with that big paycheck, that big checkbook. I'll gladly retire then, much to my husband's delight. But that's what entrepreneurs do, y'all. That's what we do. And it's not easy, or else everybody'd be doing it. But you really need to know that you've got what it takes to give it a go. You're willing to take the risk, and you're willing to work. You gotta put in the work. And I mean, I used to say, I'm not gonna work harder than I worked at Exxon. Ha! Ha! You gotta do whatever it takes, at whatever time of night, to make sure your deliverables are met. Yeah. You work so much harder as an entrepreneur, but the glory of it is that it's yours. It's yours. And I can't describe that feeling. I have been self-employed for 34 years. I can't describe that feeling. Corporations today are not what they used to be. When I went to Exxon, I met people there 30 years, 40 years, 45 years. Not today. Not. So after a couple of those, oh, well, we're downsizing or we're resizing. Folks get tired of it, and then they'll go out and become an entrepreneur. I encourage budding entrepreneurs to learn and fail on somebody else's payroll first. Yeah. I had 6 months to prepare my entree into entrepreneurship because word leaked that Exxon was selling this division. Picture this, #1 corporation in the world for the entire 11 years I'd been there. Exxon going out of business, front page, Washington Post. Well, how stupid is that? Exxon going out of business. What they really meant was Exxon is divesting themselves of a division. But once that word got out, who was going to buy from us? So we were paid for 6 months as if we were 100% a quota. It's a wonderful time. And I worked on my business then, my business plan then. So got to take advantage of those opportunities and leap. If it wasn't for that, who knows? I might be running Exxon right now, John. Questions? Yes, ma'am, Alaire in the back. Is that you? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you. Whew. How much time we got left? Lots of things that you can do. And I'm going to also point you to the research that's been done about what should women be doing in the meantime, right? Until we fix the problem, which will probably not be in our professional lifetime. And so some of the things that you should do is be prepared, right? Do the work. Even if you are a college student or an employee of someone, do the work. Don't take shortcuts. My mother taught me when I was very young. She said, you are, what did she say? Oh my gosh, don't tell me I forgot. No, it's the fumes. You are a product of this environment and a reflection of this family. And that always, propelled me forward that I was going to give it my best, no matter what it is. I'm going to give it my all. As they say, leave it all on the floor. And so I don't believe in luck. I just think that's the intersection of preparation and opportunity. So make sure that when the opportunity presents itself, you're prepared. You're ready to step in. And then step in like you own the place. This is your life. This is your company. You own it. And nobody sweats it like an owner. So make sure you own it. And then don't try and be who you're not, right? Bring your full, authentic self to the situation. Because that's what we were told. I can't tell you, my sales manager at Exxon Office Systems, she made sure that, I was a project. That I dressed the part, that I had real pearls and the silk shirt and the tie, the bow tie. I looked like a robot. trying to make me into who I am not. So don't do that. You have a voice, a strong voice. I've met you. You're somebody. You're going to be somebody even still. So always look to bring others along with you, right? How many times have we heard that women can't work with women? Foo-foo dust. You know, I forgot who it was that said there's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women. So make sure you're bringing others with you as you soar and you go up. Make sure you take the time to engage yourself in an activity that's bigger than you, right? Nothing to gain for you. You're only trying to mentor and help others. I think that if more of us take on that mindset, this world would be a much better place. We weren't put here for ourselves. That's why I asked you to think about, why are you here in this place at this time and not some other place and some other time? There's something that you are supposed to be doing. What is it? And the sooner you get to the what and the why I'm here, the more focused your direction and your path will be. So try and figure that out. I had to do that, and it sounds corny. I had to get out a big yellow pad of paper, draw a line down the middle of it, and write down, what am I good at? What are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? Why should I go into business for myself? Pros and cons. I actually had to write it on a piece of paper so I could see for myself that my column, and be brutally honest, my column of strengths and pros were much longer than my short column of weaknesses and cons. And that's what helped me propel me into entrepreneurship. Because I was a mother at that time, I was a single mother at that time, living in New York City. And that was a big risk, because we had to eat sometimes. So that's some of the things that I think you can do. And another thing is, don't take it personal. Other people's hang-ups, biases, because it's not that they're going to go anywhere anytime soon. You cannot let that mess with you, right? That is not your problem. That's somebody else's hang-ups and biases. You don't have to own that. You just, and keep it moving, right? Now, there's some things that you need to take a stand on. I am not going to allow anybody, I don't care if it's husband, child, whoever, to talk about anybody in a derogatory fashion. Not around me. They know. Shut up. Not around, that's not what I stand for. So there's times where you have to take a stand. But all these other affronts, real and perceived, you can't die on every hill. I'm married to a Vietnam Marine Corps veteran. I have all these military sayings in my head. You can't die on every hill. Take a stand. What are you willing to take a bullet for? Okay? Anyone else? We got another minute or two. Yes, ma'am. I said I wanted to talk to you, so good. Talk to me. Yeah. Yeah. Just know that there are no investors and venture capitalists when you start up. They tell you to go ask your friends and family, which is also ludicrous, you know, for most of us women of color. So a couple of things that you can do is, if you're working on an invention, an actual product, and I talk about this in my book, I wish I had gone into the development of product back 34 years ago, as opposed to, I was always focused on being a service provider. Who knows, you know, what would have happened then. But if are you thinking about product or service or? okay? So if you're thinking about product, you have to really just do it yourself, get others, and this is a great environment to develop product, other college classmates. Again, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Apple, all started in college. So you have to, promise people, that they'll win big when you win big. But you have to do it that way. There's no easy path to money. Now, there's a lot of contests, pitch contests, hackathons. There's a lot of incubators out there now. Lots more resources than I had 34 years ago. Hell, I was selling fax machines that took 6 minutes to send one page. So, yeah, no, there was none of this stuff available back then. So you have to really do the research. And I'd like to encourage you to look into Aspirations, which is one of the NCWIT programs where we actually reward women. It started out as a high school program, I don't know how many years ago, 2007, what is that, 12 years ago. And now we've opened up a pathway for college women who did not know about this program back in high school. And we also have a middle school program too around it. And this is a program where you apply online. And if you're doing anything in technology, you got some kind of leadership or track record or product or something, you can apply online and you can be rewarded, be given an award, either a regional award or a national award. It's sponsored by Bank of America, and we have 62 regional programs around the country now, usually in a university. So ncwit.org/aspirations. And I would recommend that you all apply for that. And there's some requirements for applying, but it's all online. You'll have to have, I think, an instructor, sponsorship, things like that. But there's lots of, and then once you get into, just applying puts you into that community. And now that's where the magic happens. College scholarships, internships, jobs. I'm telling you, I sit around the NCWIT board table and I hear about, oh yeah, we've got 24 interns this year. I mean, at all of the top companies. And so you may have to work as an intern to begin to build your network, because that's when the funding is going to come, when people begin to know what you're doing. And it's credible, and you're sharing that information. But it's all about the network, who you know. So get into the network. Get some awards. Look to enter into hackathons and pitch contests. And look at all of the entrepreneurial resources that are available for startups, incubators and otherwise. Accelerators, they're calling them now. And see what they have to offer. That help? Okay. Talk to me. You want me to start singing? No. Talk to me. Come on, y'all.
Hello. I have
Ryan,
a question.
you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask, what was your recommendation for freshmen and sophomores? As a lot of the people in this class are probably freshmen and sophomores. Like, what advice do you have for corporate internships or entrepreneurship starting in early college careers?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the same thing. It's about not so much who you know, but who knows you, right? And so if you're not networking, if you're not building out a circle of friends, looking to parents and aunts and uncles and neighbors, where do they work, right? Most corporations have some type of summer internship program. I did 3 internships, as I mentioned, in New York City, in Rockefeller Center. How good is that life, right? Right across the street from Radio City and the Rockettes. 3, me, who knew? So there's lots of resources out there. Again, NCWIT was created to solve this problem, and as a result, they have built up lots of resources that are free to anybody who goes on the website. And there's lots of information because I'm a board member. I'm not, day to day. So I never know what all new things are available. But there are lots there. Look at Aspirations, y'all. Aspirations has developed into the largest longitudinal study of women in tech in the world in the last 12 years. That wasn't what we started out to do. We started out to encourage high school girls to persist because it's hard. And you may be the only girl in your class, but persist nonetheless. And so that's what it's turned into. Lots of resources out there.
Any final questions? Ashley?
Ashley's
right down.
You're Ashley? Okay. Use the mic so they can hear you in the back.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Exactly what made you want to get into technology field? Like, why did you like it so much? Because I am thinking about getting a technology minor, and I'm curious, like, what aspects of this broad field really appeal to you? Why is it that you got into this in the first place?
It appealed to me first as a user of technology. It allowed me to do what I needed to do quicker, faster, easier. And so that appealed to me. I'm kind of one of those efficient, everything in its place kind of girls. So that really enabled me to live my life easier. And so I used technology in all of the jobs that I had. But then when I was given the chance to go out and sell technology, now granted, y'all might not consider this technology, 6-minute-a-page fax machines and electronic typewriters and full-screen word processors. Y'all don't even know what I'm talking about. But that's what technology was back then. And I saw how it made folks' jobs easier. I didn't realize I had an entrepreneurial bent when I got started. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know what corporate sales was. I never had access to that. We didn't have the internet, remember. We had encyclopedias. Don't laugh. She tried not to laugh. And so that ability to get information, to do my job, to be efficient is what originally appealed to me. What made me want to go into a sales position was really other folks doing. I had a role in HR of orienting and onboarding all these new, smart, young things and older folks into the new technology division. It was a ground-up creation by an oil and gas company. And so these were different kind of people. I had never seen these kind of people before. And because I had to onboard them and I was giving them orientation and everybody kept saying, you need to come into this group. You need to sell. You need to sell. And finally said, okay, I want to sell. Didn't know what that meant. I had to take, I call it a standardized test to determine whether or not I had a propensity to succeed in sales. I failed the empathy portion. And so, not supposed to take somebody into sales who is not empathetic. And while I knew what the word meant, I didn't really understand the application. I do now, of course. If you can't put yourself in someone else's shoes and feel the pain that they're feeling and wanting to solve their problem, you're not going to be successful. But the head of the New York Midtown branch said, I'll take her anyway. I was Rookie of the Year. So much for standardized tests. I excelled. I found my calling. And I exceed a quarter every year. So based on those experiences and my early entry into technology and getting to meet thousands of people in my territory, all with a need or a problem to be solved, is what really helped me understand that I truly was an entrepreneur. Yeah. Does that help? All right.
All right, I think we're at the end. If everyone can please thank Avis Yates Rivers for being here.
Thank you for having me.